Okay, so hey, this is the Beauty Boss Saga, and we're on with my sweet friend Mariam. And we have been in the industry for a very long time. I've been over 20 years, and she's been in it probably just as long.
I'd say like 15.
15,
professionally.
Yeah. Okay. And anyway, so quite a few of the artists that have come through here and that we've used mutually, and we've also helped each other and worked on events together. So I really love that she's all about community and building up artists. And like I said, a few artists have actually mentioned your name in their mentorship. And so I was like, you know what, we need to have you on, because I love your insight, I love your take, I love your perspective, and you're a hustler, and from one hustler to another. Like,
I'm tired of hustle mentality. I just want a break.
Yeah, fair enough, but we get things done, and it's great to see just how you've done things over the years, and just the grind and the experience and all of that. I think you have a lot to offer. So let's just talk a little bit about, tell us about your journey, and when you started, what that looked like when you broke into the industry.
Okay, 100 years ago.
Yeah?
It feels like it, man.
Yeah, a lifetime ago is what it feels like.
I actually started my journey in the hair and makeup world when I was in middle school.
Okay.
And I was just a painter.
Okay.
I loved painting. I loved art. And I just had people come to me and they were just like, hey, can you paint my face?
Oh.
And with my acrylics.
Yeah? Wow, really?
Spatula. I would paint their face. And at first it was just like for funsies, like Art Deco style, whatever. Yeah. And then they were just like, well, can you just do eyeliner with acrylic paint? Can you give me blush with acrylic paint? So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was middle school, 7th grade. You're like,
yeah, sure, let's make it work.
This is how makeup works, right?
Right.
But then over time, people would gift me, because I started doing weddings.
Okay.
By the time I was in high school, and they would be like, hey, can you, instead of using that acrylic paint,
can you use makeup?
Can you use this palette? Can you use this foundation? And I was like, oh, this is way better than acrylic.
Yeah. Girl.
We didn't know. We were kids, and I didn't charge back then.
Yeah.
And I reflect, and I'm like, good thing you didn't, girl. But I'm always nervous, 15 years ago, Facebook memory is gonna pop up and be like, do you remember when you did this?
Yeah.
Oh God. What did I do?
Funny.
Because you look back at 15, 20 years ago and you're like, oh, shoosh.
Uh-huh.
Did I really do those block brows like that? Trends have changed, and so have our styles and habits. But
right.
Yeah, so high school was doing weddings, events. College, I was like, hey, I have palettes now. I have an airbrush machine. Uh-huh. let me charge for this, and it put me through college. Yeah. So I got smart enough to charge.
Yeah.
And I was
wait a minute.
$30.
I know. I started at $35 too. When I first started, I was that was kind of the norm, because back then, and probably about that time too, it was normal for people to go to the mat counter for their wedding, and then they go to the salon for their hair, and then but bringing it to people weren't really about that.
Yeah.
But I started at the $35 because I wasn't really sure, but now, you got to start somewhere, and then as you get better, the price gets better.
Yeah. Well, and there wasn't any teams per se that were I didn't know that it could be a career.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knew about
I know
makeup artists. They knew about cosmetologists at the salon.
Yeah.
And my parents were just don't be a hairstylist, don't be a hairstylist. And I was like, I really want to. And they're like, you're going to be on your feet all day. You're going to break your back. And you can be poor. And I'm very mixed. my dad's Pakistani, so he was like, petroleum engineer, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But, I went to school for finance, so it helped with bookkeeping. It helps with bookkeeping. So
Yeah,
I'm glad
sure.
that things went the way that they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so doing hair and makeup, not really having any formal training. There was MAC, there was Ulta, there was Sephora.
And that was
Actually,
it?
I don't think I had gone to an Ulta yet. I just saw like what they had at Sephora.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, these people are like incredible. Look at you goddesses. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just bizarre, getting on Bride to Bride came out around that time.
Okay, yeah.
Well, hold on, let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
I got married.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I don't want to do my makeup. Like, I want to be lazy and I want somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And then I hired a person. She's an amazing artist, Misty Rockwell. And she did my hair and makeup. She did a phenomenal job. But she was booked through her agency at the time. And the price was high for a 23-year-old, 24-year-old. I think that's how old I was. Not high, I wouldn't say high, but like it was definitely a luxury price.
Yeah.
And I was not at a luxury tax rate. But I knew that I wanted this person because I saw her work and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And she did a phenomenal job. And I was just like, well, I can do this. So why aren't I charging this? And so then that's whenever I was just like, I'm going to do this. I was working full-time as a financial wealth advisor for JP Morgan Chase, and then switched to, well, it's now PNC Bank, but at the time it was BBVA, Bancomer. And it was my little side hustle for about 3 years. It was just my weekend gig while I worked at the bank. Managing people's like literally $1 million, $1 billion estates.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends being like, hey girl.
Yeah.
You want a wing liner or a flat liner?
Yeah.
And then came a really tough time in my life. My ex-husband and I decided to part ways. And I had a choice. I can either do what I love, which is hair and makeup full time, or stick to this job while also finding a way to tend to my, at the time, 2-year-old daughter and then my newborn twins. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
So I did a leap of faith. I quit my career as a wealth advisor and I started doing hair and makeup full time.
Yeah.
And it was very scary.
Yeah.
But it had an incredible payoff.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth jumping sometimes. And I kind of have a similar story. So I had, I was a registered nurse. So I did this for probably about 7 years, just on the weekends, like kind of like you said, a side hustle. And then became a registered nurse. I would work nursing during the week, and then this on the weekends. And I had got pregnant, had a baby, and I was like, yeah, no, this ain't working. And then and we went through a difficult time too. And again, we had I got it through a divorce, and I had to make that decision as well. That was at a crossroads. Do I focus on my business or do I focus on nursing? And I chose what was going to allow me to be a mom too. And that was what I decided. And from there I grew a team and it skyrocketed, and it was exactly where I needed to be, and it paid more than I could make as a nurse, and have the freedom to do that. So
in less hours.
Less hours and
less tangible hours, definitely more.
Right. Yeah, there's more hours than just the working hours for sure, and it's all on you, and it's very stressful, and I feel like in that time you grow quite a bit. But yeah, like I feel like all the great ones have the story that pressurized them at some point, and if you're wanting to get into the industry, just know that it's coming, that type of thing, and you are going to have to take that leap of faith. and you are going to have to bet on yourself, and you are going to have to do it scared.
Absolutely mortified.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
What if I fail?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kept literally challenging the imposter syndrome. Like, what if we're successful? Like, what if?
Yeah, what if?
We're going to be with movie stars one day.
Yeah, and you have to have that mentality. You have to look at that and say, well, I know what if I fail, but what if this is actually possible?
Yeah.
What if this actually works? And you just don't stop until it works.
Dream big.
Yeah.
And then once you have that dream bigger.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's also something that's a lot of people are terrified
mm-hmm.
in the industry. They're just like, I just want this. And I'm like, no, ask for this.
Yes.
So when you get here, you'll be very happy and surprised, and you can just continue working on those bigger things.
Yeah. And it's just the next thing, So, yeah, I think that's great. So you decided to start more, focusing on your business. And so how did that play out? Like, what made you, so you were doing like they were hiring you individually, right? Just
yes.
you. And then how did that kind of grow?
So it was just a for funsies thing
mm-hmm.
at first. And then I started a business back in 2011. And that was like I feel like it was like the uptick in Facebook and then like Facebook groups.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
And that was whenever we were all learning like how to do graphic design. Like we were like moved out of the MySpace HTML and we were like moving into like blending photos into a flyer. And we were like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So creating those flyers and like posting them up, and everybody's just like, oh, I need somebody. And like I think at that time my rates were like $65
mm-hmm.
for each service, which
mm-hmm.
was really great at the time.
Yeah.
It was right in line with like industry standard and right in line with like inflation at that time.
Right.
And so that's whenever I was introduced to Bride to Bride. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Bride to Bride was a game changer during that time of the internet.
Yeah.
So I started posting on there more. Whenever I found out I was pregnant with the twins, I was like, oh shit,
mm-hmm.
I can't do this by myself. Like I need people to like do this. And I see all these amazing, wonderful artists, and I knew all of you guys.
Yeah.
But I needed like a hub spot. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to create this group and like add all the makeup artists that I know, like quality artists, not just like, hi, I just joined. Like, I don't know how to do anything. But
you're like, great.
Yeah, I was like, I need these people. And like, if you know another qualified artist, like pull them in. And like, that they need to have like an online portfolio. They need to have, presence. They need to have reputation. Like,
right.
And I think because I don't come from the beauty industry, I come from like a financial world where everything is very like cut straight.
Yes.
I offered a different perspective because I was just like, no drama.
Yes.
I hate drama. Like,
yes, same.
It surrounds me, girl.
I know. You're like, I got enough.
Yeah. I was
We're
like,
not going to create more.
At least inside this group, there's going to be a safe place for people to rant. There's going to be a safe place for people to like post what their needs, wants, whatever their pricing points,
Yeah.
And I specifically created it because I was like, I need people to take over whenever I am too pregnant with
mm-hmm.
these twins, and then also whenever I'm recovering from having these twins. And that's kind of what started the team, because I didn't even think like having a team. I was just like, oh, that's for like professionals.
Right.
And then it just kind of turned into that, and I was with the twins going through that divorce at the time, and I was just like, all I can do is be on the computer and like go on Bride to Bride and be like, book us, like, and then other clients of mine would jump in and they were like, oh, we love Mariam, like, you have to book her, like, blah, blah, blah. So I would get those inquiries, and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Let's get all these, people, these artists that are here, like, let's get them, booked. And it's important for me because I was just like, I don't know what to pay you guys, like, how much do you want to get paid? And they're like, oh, well, this much. And I was like, great, like, I'm going to put my rates around you guys. Because I still want to, be able to survive.
Right.
While I'm not working. And everybody was happy. And that was really important to me.
Yeah.
So building the group, it just got bigger. There were times whenever there was drama in there, and I was just like, nip in the bud. Like, no. If
Yeah.
you're going to play these games, like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
If you're going to screenshot this stuff and go out and post, like, you're out.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a no-show, you're out.
Yeah.
If you're going to post people's work and talk bad about them,
Yes.
you're out. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just,
That's
for what?
Yeah.
How does this help anybody?
It doesn't. Right.
If you want to post your work and ask for constructive criticism,
Yeah.
that's great.
Right.
Go for it. I'm here for it. But
Yeah.
at no means are you going to be able to talk bad about somebody else. It's
Yeah.
just not okay.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a lot of talking bad about other people in my DM.
Yes.
Being the admin, for some reason, people thought I was like the god of makeup, and they were just like, fix this. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm you. What do you want? This is what I would do.
Uh-huh.
And then people were just like, oh, okay, well, this is what you'll do. I'll do that too. And it turns out, well, and it's so great, like, giving advice to other people that you know you will not take yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm going to give you the best advice.
Uh-huh.
Follow through with that and everything's going to be great. But, like, if that were to happen to you, you'd be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think being able to offer those advices turned around to also being like, hey, like, if I'm telling them to treat their self well, why can't I do that for myself in my business?
Absolutely.
And so that was that transition for me as well. Like, okay, I had to treat myself like I'm one of them.
Right.
So that way.
And hold up, like, stand up for yourself.
Yeah. And that's
sense.
so scary in a service environment.
Yeah.
To be like, you can't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
I will leave.
Oh, yeah.
He's mortifying your heart is in your neck, and you're just like, oh my God.
I feel like that, but that's part of my contract too, especially when it comes to, brides and just, how things can get really hectic on wedding days. And sometimes they're not even like mad at you. They're just mad at a situation or
Yes.
whatever. So I always take that into consideration, but there have been times where I'm like, you're not going to abuse me or my team. And I don't care what it looks like right now, but we will leave. That's how this works.
Yeah.
And so just for them to be like, oh, I can't act this way.
Yes.
That's a big deal because boundaries are great. And if everybody works within the contract or the boundaries, they're going to have an awesome day. We're going to have an awesome experience. It's going to go off without a hitch,
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard. You're right. Of standing up for yourself and then, because there's a risk of the bad review.
Yes.
And the bad publicity that comes along
Yes.
with that and the whole cancel culture.
Yes.
It's not just them, it's their friends who get on board too and cancel your business. I've
Yes.
had several friends in the wedding industry that have had that happen to them. And I honestly, I get fed up with it. You're right, it's scary, but when I get PO'd,
Yeah.
it's on like Donkey Kong. And because I'm never going to mistreat somebody or a client or whatever, but if there's like an injustice there, like you're not telling the truth or you're not telling the whole story
Yes.
or whatever, like, no, call them to the carpet. Like, this is how this went down, and whoever else reading this, you be the judge.
Yeah.
But I don't like operating out of like fear or somebody holding something over my head like you're gonna do what I
because
tell
then
you
you have
to
more
do.
prone to react instead of respond.
Yes, yeah, and I don't like that. And sometimes it does take me a day or two to respond because I do have to step away and calm down before I rip your head off.
This is why I absolutely love ChatGPT now.
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes I'm like, ChatGPT, please let me know how to say, you have the audacity to
Yeah.
tell me X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But write it in a professional, nice, calm manner.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're like, that works.
yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah,
So I
that's right.
tell anybody now, I'm like, if you're angry, just ChatGPT it.
Yeah.
Don't think, copy and paste,
Yeah.
and post.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that is something that I feel like stylists and artists nowadays, they should get really comfortable with
Being uncomfortable.
Yeah, because that's what it comes down to, and putting themselves in a position of the expert versus, oh, please don't hurt my business, or please,
Well,
no.
and here's the thing. You go through all these years of training, all
Yeah.
these years of experience. You are the expert. You are the hired expert.
Yes.
The moment that you begin to behave as the amateur,
Yeah.
especially when they pay for a luxury service,
Yes.
is the moment that they begin to doubt your work and your ethic and everything
All
about
of
you.
it all starts going down.
And you know what you're saying is data backed and, you know, strategic. It's not like you're pulling something out of your butt, which, you know, hopefully you're not, but like, you know what you're saying is correct. You've got to stand there and say like, hey, look, I definitely recommend X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
It is the best thing for you. We don't have to do that, but
Yeah.
this is what I recommend.
Yeah.
And clients are not only hiring what they see, but they're also hiring like your confidence.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So I feel like with artists that are trying to break into the industry, and now I did see a trend on, like, I think it was TikTok or something about boundaries or whatever. You know, and that's true, but like I understand the whole like charge your worth and then add tax. That was like one of the main things. And yes, you should charge your worth, but on the trend on TikTok was that they were treating their customers like shit. Like they were treating them like crap. And because they had some sort of air or arrogance about them, and there's such a difference between arrogance and confidence. You know, if you have the receipts to back it up and be like, you know what, I've done thousands of faces and thousands of events, and this is what will serve you best, because this is your first event. This is my 1,000th.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is how it works versus, oh no, you're going to do it my way because I said so, because I'm the artist. No, that's different. Like that's a different air.
Well, and here's the thing is, if you have your signature look and all you want to do is your signature look, totally fine.
Yeah.
That is what you are putting out there, whatever have you. There are artists that I know that they're like, look, if you want me to service you, you're going to get my signature look. Like nothing outside of that. But set that as the preface.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no way that you can say like, we have a team and there's a portfolio of all these different looks. But when you show up and you ask for X and I deliver Y,
Yeah.
it becomes, you know, the artist's responsibility to make sure that they're able to deliver all of those things.
Yeah.
So that's where it's different, I guess, as if you are a singular freelancer who wants to niche theirself out for this specific style, whatever have you, that's okay. But if you want to have a team and build a team, it's important that your team players, yourself included, are able to do the spectrum.
Yeah, what you're marketing.
Yes.
They should deliver on that. And if there's a problem with that, and then also upholding the brand, whatever that brand stands for, then you shouldn't accept those types of, you know, those artists for your brand. I think that as the owner of the company, it is your job to determine, does this artist fit within our brand or outside of it? You know, and then if the artist that is being looked at looks at the brand and is like, yeah, this isn't for me, stand up and say, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then that'll save a whole bunch of headache.
Yes.
In the long run, if you just talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
But so then so you started the group, and then you know, so after the twins, how old are the twins now?
Now they are 9.
Oh
Girl, I
my
had to think
gosh.
about it.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since you started the group.
I guess, it's been about a decade now.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know.
Oh no.
Well, you don't look it. You look so young.
Lots of Botox.
Yeah.
Lots of skincare, Korean skincare.
Perfect. Yeah, so from there, tell me a little bit about, like, I love how you have the no drama, you know, aspect of it, because I'm not a dramatic person either. So I feel like everybody can go much further when you're not caught up on the stupid stuff, you know?
Yes.
What are you seeing in the industry? Are you adding more people to the group, or, you know, tell me a little bit about that. Like,
I think at this point, I mean, we are still actively adding people in the group, but it is a slower, amount of people coming in. And I think it's because the industry has changed so much. Like, the industry is not just like willy-nilly, like anybody can have a team, anybody can be a brand, like as it once was.
Yeah.
And no shade on anybody. It's just that the industry has shifted to more luxury.
Yes.
I mean, in the current economy, like, you either have it or you don't, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, if you have it, you're demanding, not only requesting, but demanding luxury services.
Yes.
And so because of that, less people are more prone to jump into something because they're mortified, and that's fair.
Yeah.
So it has been a slower trickle in, and it's, it's the same thing as before. I'm very open to adding people in there, but you've got to have an online portfolio presence, and you've got to have a reputation with somebody here in the group that knows you, knows of your work, and can speak on your behalf that they've worked with you and you have, good bedside manner.
Yes.
Because we're not going to bring anybody in here that's going to turn tables on another artist.
Right.
I definitely believe like in a no competition kind of theory where like Emily is not my competition. Right. If it is competition, it's like a friendly one. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna get more weddings than you this year, girl. I know it. Yeah. Like it's nothing like.
Yeah, it's not serious.
She can go to hell. Like,
yeah, no, it's not serious.
It's just if there's somebody that's in that group, and you say like I need an artist, I can go in there and be like, I'm available for you, or I know these people that fit your aesthetic that would be able to help you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't cost me anything to make these people reliable for you.
Right.
And a lot of times it's pinch situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's sick. There's a funeral. There's this, that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stuff happens all the time. It's good to just have a resource to back up on.
Yeah, for sure. And I've really appreciated that aspect of it, because you're right. Life happens, and you're like, okay, what do I do? You know?
The wedding does not stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and this is someone's first wedding or their special day, something that they're going to remember for the rest of their life. So you have to make sure that all your, as the professional, you have everything.
Ducks in a row.
We call it in my business safety nets,
Yes.
If you're not having somebody on call, then in a situation like that, then you have to have a resource to draw from.
Yes.
And usually the people who respond are very, they're wonderful most of the time. And they, like you said, they have their portfolios. They're open to, I wouldn't say criticism, but they're open to, okay, adjustments. This is what she's wanting. Let's go ahead and put, this wing to be elevated a little bit more to lift her versus, droop or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like as far as business owners, you have to have that know how to talk to people so it doesn't discount that artist in front of a client, first of all, and it doesn't make them feel like crap when you're trying to make sure that the client gets what they want,
right?
So I feel like there have been a couple of instances where I went and worked for another event, and it it was complete chaos in some of these weddings, and I'm like, I can't function in chaos like this. If it's outside function, as
organized chaos.
Yeah, like if it's the bride and her wedding party, I'm like cool as a cucumber. But when you're throwing things at me and you don't know how many services are actually supposed to be completed or whatever, then that's chaotic for me, and I don't do that. So I feel like there have been some instances where I'm like, I could see kind of into other people's businesses, and I feel like as business owners, it's very important that we all get on the same page as far as how business owners should operate, and I know a lot of like I said before, the artists mentioned you as far as like, okay, well, she gave me this advice or how to handle this or whatever, and I'm like, that's what needs to happen, is to be open and like for us as business owners to have a resource or, sharpen each other on this is how we should handle these types of situations, so that it doesn't make the artist look bad or us look bad as a business owner,
right?
Because clients pick up on things.
The vibe.
Yes. Yeah. And I've felt a few times where the client even looked at like what? Like she talked to you like that or whatever, And so anyway, I think that was, maybe we could come together, as far as how that, how certain things are supposed to be handled in the field, but
There's probably another Facebook group that we need to create.
Yeah.
Well, because there's a lot of vulnerability in that. It's very hard for, I think people appreciate the DMs with me because they can just come vulnerable and say, like, I failed here.
Yeah.
Can you help me do better next time?
Yeah.
And so in that particular platform, there's like over 500 people. It's really hard to have a reputation about yourself and then go and say, like, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Then everybody's looking at that versus we're all business owners. So that sounds like another business or another Facebook group or whatever have you, Basecamp, whatever, that needs to be created so that way business owners can talk to each other like, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're human. I know I am.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we're willy-nilly.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe what happened to this?
Yeah.
This situation. But yeah, that's figuring out how to sharpen each other in that so that then there's more like boundaries as far as how you're supposed to operate in certain situations. I think that would be a great aspect to introduce into the whole thing we got going here.
Yeah.
But okay, so then the group, and then you had your business, and then you kind of shifted gears, and now you're opening or you have opened a salon,
yes,
the hair parlor, right?
Yes.
And then you also rebranded yourself for First Class Beauty.
Yes.
So you're really honing in on that luxury service.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your new endeavors.
So when I started out in the industry, it was just more so like making sure I was available for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's an artist for everyone's budget.
Yeah.
At the time, I was not the artist that I am today. I was using everybody as practice models, basically.
Yeah.
And my rate reflected it so, and that's okay. But over the years, like, my rate has increased, my intelligence, my experience, my charisma has changed working with clients. And so a constant that I hear and have heard over the last several years, especially honestly since COVID, is like the audacity of clients. And like people are just angry and they're just, taking it out on their clients. And I'm just like, yo, if your client's asking for this, and this is outside of your spectrum of like a normal hair and makeup service, and you want to do these things, but then you get mad about doing them, where's the disconnect? And it usually lies within your rate. So it's okay to offer these things if you include a rate with it, so the client feels absolutely exceptional with beyond their hair and makeup service. You feel absolutely exceptional. Oh my gosh, I'm drooling. This is 36. The client feels, you feel absolutely exceptional for doing all of this for your client. You feel so great. Hopefully you get BTS, because that's important. And you also got paid for it. And the client felt great paying you for that because they know that you went above and beyond. So not only have you given a great service, not only have you gone above and beyond, not only have you hopefully received a great review on that and possibly referrals, but you've also gotten paid for it. And what's to complain about after that? So that's what I did. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm always sticking around. I'm always, let me just stick to like putting in the veil. What if I just stuck around till the ceremony? Because I know you're going to cry. You're a big crybaby. And that's okay. I want you to experience your wedding fully. I want you to. Without worrying. I want you to have the boohoo. I want you to do this. Which is like a makeup artist nightmare, right? We always tell them at the end of the service, please don't cry like this. Do this. You're a princess.
Cry pretty.
But I'm like, do whatever it is that you need to do. I'm happy to stick around. There is a touch-up rate, though. And my clients are like, yes. Yes. I want you there. Dress nice. But they love our energy. They love our excitement. They love, like, the hype, the the wonderfulness that you bring. They're just like, yes, I need this energy. I need a hype woman that is not my maid of honor that's having to attend to her partner or her children or the mother of whoever. Like, I want somebody who is just there for me.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. Like, happy to be here. That square, tip me. Like, and they're happy to do it. They're just like, oh, thank God. Like, I'm happy to pay for this convenience, especially like at our age, you know? I feel like more millennials are getting married now more than like Gen Z. I feel like millennials are constantly getting married.
Yeah, they are.
Because like in 2010 and 2020, it was millennials. Like it was people our age. And then now it's people our age. Yeah. The Gen Zers are like, maybe not. I'm going to wait till I'm like 50 to get married. But yeah, so because of that, you know, their tax bracket has changed. Yeah. They're mid-class or upper middle class in this. So they're just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm happy to pay you for this convenience, please. Like,
well, even like just the peace of mind.
Yes.
You know, that they don't have to worry about it. You know, so like you said, they're happy to pay for it. You know, they don't have to worry.
So that's what First Class Media is. It's just like top tier. You know, we want to give you absolutely everything. Everybody on our team is affiliated in the film industry, which the film industry is after you do hair and makeup, you're there for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours beyond providing touch-ups. Yeah. And so I wanted to pull that into Wedding World so that way people know that they too can enjoy those luxuries of being like, oh no, I like ripped off an eyelash because I was dancing so hard and like whatever. Okay, girl, I got you. Yeah. But yeah, we did that, and then Amore and I, we opened up hair parlor together, and it's really cool because she is very much a maximalist. I'm very much a minimalist. But we were able to bring our crazies together. Okay. And we both knew that we wanted to offer like luxury services at the salon. Okay. So it's crazy because, you know, I get so many inquiries on the Wedding World side because their stylist doesn't know how to do an updo. Or they don't have a in-house makeup artist. Yeah. Or there is no experience with like photo shoots and, you know, family, whatever. So we created a hair parlor, and our hair parlor is not only a salon, not only a barber, but also a photo studio. Okay. And we're there on site as hair and makeup artists to tend to you for all of those things. Okay. So you can get colors, you can get cuts, you can get styling, you can get your makeup, you can get your photo all done in one spot.
There. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And we built it in Edo, a centralized location, because all the cool photographers seem to be either in Conroe or in the Heights area, you know, Montrose. Yeah. They're like, this is the cool spot. These are where all the cool people are. Okay. Yeah. I'm in the old people Jersey Village.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was quite a venture, like finding that place, and like, you know, we didn't even have walls. And just to like build it up to what it is now, and we designed it with our stylist in mind. Okay. And it was so funny, like talking to Amore, I was like, our break room can be this big, and she was like, we need to have more space. And I'm like, fine. This is enough for you. And she was like, yes. Oh. And I was like, fine. And now we have a break room, and it's enormous, and we love it because we can have all the people in there, and we feel like we can move, you know? Yeah. It's not like a cramped up typical salon space. Yeah. So we have that. We have amazing stylists in there now. We're just got an amazing lash tech. Cool. So I'm looking forward to her doing. So
are they? How did you set up the business as far as like, is it booth rent? Is it commission? Both.
Yes.
Okay.
So ironically enough, we wanted to offer more than your typical like salon, which is just like, here, do the work, and here you have clients, and like you just get your percentage, and that's it. Call it a day. Okay. I think a lot of people, what they lack is like the know-how of social media. And that's fun stuff for me, like creating reels and like creating graphics, those same ones that the flyers from Beyond. Like now we have even more technology advanced, like software to create amazing things. And so I was like, hey, like if you do commission, like we'll handle your social media and we'll just add you as collaborators. And like you can focus on what you love. Because there's people who are just like, I don't want 27 hats. I just want to do hair. I got you. You got a book? I got you. You're going to do a great job? I got you. So both Amore, and we're both like stiflers on each other for the social media aspect. And sometimes it can be chaotic, but like I know that my business partner wants the best for the company. My business partner knows that I want the best for the company. So I think I'm very happy that we have like that yin and yang to each other.
Cool.
Like I needed that. There's no way I could have opened up a salon without that business partner.
Wow. So how do you feel, because you can enter partnerships and all of that. So how do you feel as far as setting up your partnership to best serve both of you? Because it has to be a win-win, right? So talk a little bit about like your experience as far as your partnership and the business side of things, making sure that all your things are, taken care of. What does that really look like as a setting up for a partnership?
So I'm not a tax advisor, so always...
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer, verify with your tax advisor on what's the best...
Attorneys,
best decision for you. Right. But for me, personally, I think starting off with an LLC. Always starting off with an LLC, limited liability corporation, so that way... It's never happened. Knock on wood, it never does. But in the event that anybody ever tries to attack you, they can't attack your personal belongings, like your home, your car, your whatever have you. They can only attack the business. That for one, for sure. And then also on the LLC, you're able to have multiple partners. And so in this case scenario, like I have just Amore as my business partner. But if we were to decide to like franchise in the future, and that means adding on an additional managing member or just a member, we're able to add them or remove them when the time comes, whatever have you. But with doing the LLC, it's always important to have your ducks in a row and you have your paperwork in order. Have an entry strategy, and just like a prenup in a marriage, you need to have an exit strategy. Because you never know what's going to happen. And you never know what people are going through. You never know, things change. The passion for what you're doing can change. The life that you're living can change. And so you want to have exit strategies in place in the event that they do change and you do want to pivot. So that way it's a win-win for everyone. And so that's what I talked to my business partner. I was like, look, I need to do this not only for me, but also for you. Like, money turns people evil, so protect yourself at all costs. And so she was like, okay, cool, like let's do that. Let's get that paperwork established.
Well, I think like you kind of referred to it as a prenup, you know, having your entry and exit strategy, but in that moment when you're first getting started, you're doing it from a place of I want you to win and you want me to win. So the emotion or the negative emotion or the water under the bridge hasn't happened, yet. Or if it does at all, it kind of keeps everything in line so that both people or anybody involved knows, okay, if this happens or doesn't, you have a change of heart or something happens to where you do pivot, we both know what's expected and how it's going to roll out, if that were the case. So in the end, you can maybe salvage the relationship, and it, there's no bad blood because it was just business, just paperwork, and it is what it is, So I think that's the safest way to really look at it going in. And I always say this, you should always start with the end in mind. And I know, but it's a perspective, and if you want if this had to end, you want it to end positively.
Retirement and generational wealth.
Yeah. Yes. And so then you both know that that's the end goal,
Yes.
you know, and if it does end how, you know, before the generational wealth and all of that, it's going to end amicably,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that's also, like, it gives you peace as a business owner that, you know, like, this is how this is going to work out, you know. So I think that's great. I think that's a great piece of information, because I feel like when people get started, they don't really think about that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they don't want to think about it. They're like, just like you're like, I don't want to think about this ending. But I feel like if you do think about it, you'll have peace in the journey,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's really important too. Okay, so let's see. So you have the hair parlor, and then do you work there like during the week, or how?
Yes.
Yeah. So you spend most of your time there during the week, and then you
Yeah,
have the weekends?
honestly, like, it was hard transitioning from like not having a spot, or from having a spot to not having a spot.
Uh-huh.
So like, I was just like working out of my house, and I was just like, ugh.
Oh, I don't
Like I built my house
Uh-huh.
literally for me to love being there.
Yes.
But for some reason, I just felt so cozy
Yeah.
that I was just like, I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started going to coffee shops just constantly and doing all my work on the computer at a coffee shop. And I was just like, I need a space because I'm tired of having people come to my home.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, they had great bedside manner, but it was just like, kids, I need you to go upstairs and like absolutely be quiet
Yeah.
for 2, possibly 3 hours while I do this trial.
Yeah.
And then that was my like formal dining room that was converted into like my beauty studio, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and for me, I have kind of the same setup, you know, where like I'll have, if it's just a makeup appointment or whatever, and it's not like a bridal appointment, my bridals are like at a different location. We have a studio or whatever, but sometimes I'll have friends, you know, a family or whatever come in. And
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
that's
it's just
fine,
like,
but I'm very picky about who I let in my home.
exactly.
Because number one, I have had some situations in the past where people researched me. They knew everything about me. Like, and they showed up at a bridal show, and they're like, oh, I want to talk to her specifically, not my team, but her specifically. And then when they started talking about my daughters. They started talking about all these things. And I'm like, you know too much. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's scary.
That is a little scary. So thinking about having someone like that come into my home or know where I live or whatever, you're like, that's a little, maybe not.
Yeah.
If I don't trust them. But then the energy that they bring into your home too
Yeah.
can change things.
Well, and I think that's what made a change for me too. Like years and years ago, it was just, there was an artist that basically, they knew where she lived. She had a trial. Everything was fine and dandy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went back later, like not that day, but like later on in the week, and they robbed her.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I have kids. I'm a single mom. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I did not realize like this could be something that could happen.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever I created, I don't know if you are a part of that group, but it's like the MUA check-in.
Oh.
If you
yeah.
ever feel like unsafe, or you're going to an event where you're like, this address is not a venue.
Uh-huh.
It's in BFE, and like,
Yeah.
I just want to check in with somebody.
Yeah.
And you can send that, and we'll call you and check in to make sure. Hey, did you make it there okay?
Yeah.
Are they a psycho?
That's awesome.
You know, did you order pepperoni or
Yeah.
pineapple?
Yeah.
You know, the secret
Yeah.
words. And thankfully everything has been good and safe. But
Yeah.
it's just,
Because you just never know what you're walking into
yeah.
sometimes.
Or you never know who's walking in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's why I was just like, okay, I gotta have like a spot. But yeah, so opening up the salon, like I'm there all the time now.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm not there, it is because I'm working or like it's an off day. For
Yeah.
example, today's an off day, so I'm here with you. But
Yeah.
Tuesday through Saturday, it's at the salon. If I'm not at the salon, it's because I'm commercial TV film or working a wedding
Yeah.
or an event.
Yeah.
Like it's still business as normal, first class beauty side, but if I'm not there, I'm at the salon.
Yeah.
And I love it because, you know, I'm there. Like I look like the salon manager. I'm not, but I look like, because I'm always just like clacking away, and then they're like, oh, I just finished. And I'm like, oh, look, let me go get you the iPad so you can check them out. And they're very qualified to do it all themselves, but like.
But you just help things work a little bit better.
And then I'm just like, oh, I'm going to record your content. Like, here's the perfect place for me to record your content. Here's the perfect place for me to put my headphones on and, like, edit your content.
Yeah.
You're here so I can show you your content and then post and collaborate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure they appreciate that, too, because, like you said, you do, as a business owner or even as a a stylist, a renter, or commission, or whatever, like you still have to push your business, and gain trust in the social media realm and all of that. And it's definitely hard to do, like, while you're working, to make sure you're getting the right angles. Like it's difficult. So having somebody in your corner and doing all of that for you, making sure you look your best and all that, like that's worth so much. That's awesome. So you mentioned that you do, different productions. I saw that you were doing, you were at the Astros. So talk a little bit about that. Tell me about your experience.
So I started in the film industry or commercial, whatever have you, like 10 years ago, maybe, professionally. And it was kind of funny how I got in. I had a friend who called me and she was like, I can't make it to this job. Like, do you think that you can go? And it's only for males. And it was so funny because, like, I did a male boudoir photo shoot, like, a month before. And it was not like, it was all suitable for work. The guy was a great guy. And then I was just doing, like, makeup and, like, grooming in his hair, right? Like, nothing wild. It was just like a man, like, whatever, right? And so she saw that and she was like, do you think you could pick up this job? It's only men. And I was like, okay, like, I'm up for a challenge. We were at that young age where, like, sure, like, why not? And I told her about my experience. She was like, it's fine. Like, you're just going to anti-shine and, like, powder them, maybe some spot cleaning. I know you can do that. Cool. But, curveball, they don't like makeup. And I was like, okay, I'm a makeup artist.
Well, I do makeup.
So she tells me this, and I was just like, okay, like, don't worry, I'll figure this out. And so that night, like, I go to Hobby Lobby, and I, like, grab all these little clear containers. You remember we used to, like, put our little glitters inside them? Just little bitty ones. So I get blue tape, and I just, like, wrap around, and I just put, like, our primer and, like, concealers. It was before we had, like, the Vouze palettes, where we could just, like, do that. It was before we had all these amazing gadgets that we have now to depot with. So I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And it's all blue. So then I show up to this huge, like, oil and gas convention. And I'm doing some major CEOs that I have no idea who they are, but they're incredible calibers. And they're like, I don't know, makeup, no makeup. And I was like, don't worry, like, it's blue. It's for men. And they were like, oh, you have men's concealer. This exists. And I was like, it's the same as women's. What a big thing. So, I applied it, and they were just like, oh my God, I love it. It's great. I look so amazing. And I'm like, cool. Let me know if you need anything. And do my touch-ups, we leave, whatever. And then I start getting calls back of just like, hey, we heard that you did this makeup. Can you bring the men's makeup? Bring the men's stuff. And I was like, cool. So I started the industry, like, really just doing men at first. And then, of course, like, they find out, oh, you do women too. Wow. Doesn't give it away, but whatever. So, they started just saying, like, okay, well, do these women CEO, do these women, like, attorneys, whatever have you. So I started building up into that. And then that turned into, like, working with Chevron. And Chevron did this thing where they did stuff with the Astros. And crazy enough, I meet this lady, and she's frazzled in the restroom, and I had downtime, and I was like, hey, like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, I'm just be a mess. And I was like, oh, like, I don't have anyone in my chair. Come, I'll curl your hair. Like, no worries. It's going to take me, like, 10 minutes. And we're on downtime. Had no idea who she was. I was just being kind. She ends up being this, like, huge coordinator for all the games. So she's like, hey, like, do you do men? And I was like, ironically. And so she started putting me on these Astros games. And it just, snowballed from there. Like,
Yeah.
athletes are like, oh, you do athletes?
Yeah.
You wipe sweat? It's
Yeah.
like, I sure do, with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was just cool. Like, I still to this day, like, all my little touch-up kits that I provide, they're all like gender neutral,
Yeah.
And there's face mask in all of them.
Wow.
So I get these excited men who are just like, wow, I get a face mask. I'm a man. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, you are. A man with skincare.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's really,
awesome.
it's just really awesome, like, being able to do all of these things and, like, kind of just break down those, like,
barriers that
Yes.
they, like, place on themselves.
yeah, like, it's totally fine to put a face mask on for some self-care. Like, it is not going to
Yeah.
change anything about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I think it's so excited, like, like these 60-year-old men, like these major boss, like, powerhouses who own buildings downtown are just like, yeah, like, do whatever.
Yeah. It's their moment.
And then, like, they're just like, hey, like, oh, can you take my picture? I want to send this to my daughter. And I'm like,
Oh my
so
gosh.
cute.
I love
Yes.
that.
Like, yes. So there's little bitty things like that just, light up my heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do that. I do a lot of athletes for some reason.
Yeah.
I wish I was more of an athlete. So it would make more sense to be like running with them, like dabbing their sweat,
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of athletes. The oil and gas. It's Houston. We're the concrete jungle, so we're always getting photo shoots in front of these skyscrapers, right? And it's
Yeah.
a lot of attorneys downtown. So I get all those people within my realm.
Wow. That's
Um,
awesome.
Different world than makeup or than wedding world for sure.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
And so how do you do your pricing structure for those types of situations?
It really depends.
Uh-huh.
More often than not, it's either half day or full day.
Yeah.
There'll be occasional one-off where they're just like, oh, it's just hair and makeup, and like stick around for like an hour.
Yeah.
Just make sure they're not sweating.
Uh-huh.
So that's a different price point, but like usually it's a half day or a full day.
Yeah.
And then there's overtime to that.
Okay.
So we also have like a union jobs and non-union jobs.
Okay.
Houston's not really affiliated with a union,
Yeah.
but there are times when union jobs come into Houston. And
Okay.
those are excellent, creme de la creme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how would you advise somebody to get involved with, that type of, because it just kind of spiraled and went in the right direction for you, and I feel like it's all about who you know,
Yeah.
too. But if there's any advice of someone like, oh, I really want to do that, what would you advise them?
I feel like I was passed a lottery card back then,
Uh-huh.
and it was very just like luck
Yeah.
for me at that time.
Yeah.
And you might find yourself in a position of luck one day. I'm talking to all of you guys, like you might. But if you were to try to strategically find a way in, I think strategically it would be posting products, and by products I mean faces or hair,
Right.
of that target demographic or clientele that you're looking for. So if you want to do men, then get men
Yeah.
and post their images. Obviously, of you doing their hair and makeup.
Right.
If you want to do SFX, start getting into prosthetics and educate yourself. So there's that. A secondary is like finding people that are in the industry already and seeing if you can shadow them, seeing if you can work beside them as an assistant, whatever have you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I get so many people who are like, oh, you're working with the Astros or the Rockets or whatever, like, can I be your assistant? Like, I don't have that power to be able to call that.
Yeah.
If I ever do, like, I've already got a team established, that does that already full time, because you can't just bring in a newbie
Yes. Yeah.
at that caliber.
Yeah.
But there'll be times like SFX, like, oh my gosh, SFX artists are phenomenal. Like, there's Meredith, she's in Austin. She owns, oh my gosh, it's in my brain, her logo, and I feel terrible. But her name is Meredith. She's amazing.
Okay.
And she is happy to teach you, bring you alongside, and educate you. Amori and I, we worked on a film last year, and she was the lead SFX artist.
Okay.
Hogblood, that's what it was.
Okay.
And
Blood. Cool.
yeah, so she really creates her own theatrical blood, and it looks so real. Like, she has so many different, does this stuff where you put it in your mouth and it tastes like mints.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it turns all your teeth nasty.
Really?
Yes. And she does full blown prosthetics where your guts are spewing out, and it looks so
awesome.
realistic.
Awesome.
But she's yeah, I'll show you whenever you want.
Cool.
And so finding those people and just simply saying hey, can I learn from you? I mean, that's how I got really into makeup. I asked KJ Bennett. I was he's an Emmy Award winner, and I was hey, can't you teach me your ways?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a hard time about it.
Yeah.
Because there's Google.
Yeah.
But after you've done your Googling, after you've done your research, and you're still falling out with no answers, and you show me your research,
Yes.
then I will help you. And I was thank you.
Yeah.
It cost him his time.
Yes.
And I really was happy to prepare for it. And at times I did pay for it.
Uh-huh.
But man, that gave me such a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
So finding those people, asking them to assist, asking them to help, be prepared to do that TFP, trade for photo, or even just trade for experience.
Yeah. You have to.
Many times
Yeah.
when you're working in the film industry, especially indie films, there's not room in the budget. So you've just got to lean in until you get into a position where you can start charging.
Yeah.
So there's that. Following producers, filmmakers, photographers. There are so many small indie films that are going on that are 2-3 days, where they're looking for these style of artists, and their budget is not there at all. But it's a great way for you to get your feet wet, to get in the know of working these crazy hours, doing these crazy off the beat, I was not expecting to do this, but here I am doing this.
Yeah.
It happens all the time in film, and you just got to be ready for it at any given moment.
Yeah.
But those are great opportunities to again, get your feet wet.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then, so for the people who are wanting to get involved in that, I think that's great advice. Now, if you're wanting to get into the wedding industry or specialize in luxury service, do you have any other tips on that?
I think that's a way different world. So I think it starts with, do a little bit of training yourself. If you don't have any kind of training whatsoever, then getting with a team and saying, can you offer me this training? It might come at a cost, because at that level, you're more of an expense than you are an investment.
Right.
So there might be a rate that's involved, that you're being charged to learn these things, and fair is fair. You got to pay for the time when you're committing to those things. But when you have your feet a little bit wet and you are doing your friends and family, and now you're okay, maybe I want to transition this into a part-time job, even not even full-time, but just part-time, then I would suggest seeking out teams and saying I want to work for you. I want to work under you. I want to learn the ins and outs of the business while I'm working for you.
And be very clear on what your intentions are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I there are different types of artists. There are artists who only aspire to do the work as far as the actual tangible service.
Yes.
And there is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And we love you guys dearly.
Yes.
And then there are other artists who their aspiration is to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And it is okay. And if you're working for the right person, they're going to help you become a business owner.
Yeah.
Because you would be a terrible person to not. Because, again, there is no competition. There's community over competition every day.
Yes.
Because If I go in competition with Emily, then Emily's going to be like, I'm not going to mess around with you. But if I'm like, hey, I can't do any of these. My people are booked out. Can you handle this?
Yeah.
And you happen to be available and you take care of that, great. 2 months later, when Emily's fully booked and she has an overload of work, Emily's going to call Mariam and be like, yo, can you take care of this?
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah.
And community over competition every day.
Absolutely.
So I would suggest, finding your models, practicing on them, of course. Always, like, no matter what position of degree of level that you're in, like, it's always awesome to have model calls, to always hone your craft. Like, you're always learning. But when you're new, start there, move on to teams, building with a team, an apprenticeship, or simply just being a junior artist until you're able to move to whatever it is that you want to go.
Yeah.
Because you can move into a senior artist, and people are very happy being senior artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, too, it's not about how long you've been in the industry. It's how many faces you've done, or like I like to say, how many miles you've put on the car.
Yeah.
As to what your experience level is. So, like you said, doing those model calls, and you have the before and afters that you can show in your portfolio. Because and I always train to do 30 faces. At the end of 30 faces, you're going to look at your first one versus your 30th one, and you're going to see the difference. When you thought you nailed that first one, you're going to see the difference and how far you've come just in your 30 face increments that you're doing. And if you do that 3 times, you've done close to 100 faces. You're going to know your stuff. Anything that walks through the door, you're going to be like, I've seen this before.
Yes.
Probably, So I think that's really important. And then linking up with somebody who has the outlook of, like you said, community over competition. I feel like competition is so last, century, like in the industry, it was like real catty and, talking bad about each other and all of that. And I feel like most people who are on their game don't do that. Most people.
I wish this was tea.
Yeah.
You're not on the admin side of that MUA group, girl.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. But I feel like again, that's, people don't know how to behave as a boss babe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what that really means, not just that you're at the positional leadership, what leadership really is serving people and helping people and taking that whole aspect of competition out of it.
Yeah.
And people are, can be kind of immature in that aspect, where they are maybe still in self-preservation mode, even as a business owner. I really feel like it's important to lay that down.
Yeah.
And not try to preserve yourself all the time. And that's where people get sketchy and,
communication is key. Just literally, I think that's the biggest thing that I deal with in that group.
Yeah.
Is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I didn't pay them because of X, Y, and Z. Did you tell them that?
Yeah.
Well, no, but they need to understand. I'm like, they did the work.
Yeah.
When they do the work, they get paid.
Yeah.
Then your business is literally none of their business.
Yeah.
And so as much as people love me in that group, there are an equal amount of people, well, I wouldn't say equal, but
there's some.
A rising number of people who hate me looking.
Oh, no.
Well, because, I'm not perfect.
Right.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
But I really, really, really try so hard to take care of my people.
Yeah.
I really, really try.
Yeah.
That's so more important to me than anything else.
Yeah.
Because if my people are happy, then my clients are happy.
Yes.
And it's a circle, it's circular.
Yeah.
But in that group, there's a lot of people who are they try to justify their behaviors because of personal issues.
Mm.
And I'm like, you're trying to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And you've heard the saying, mind your business.
Yeah.
Okay, so people have always taken that as an insult when they hear that. But I feel like that's the greatest piece of advice.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
Yes.
So your business stays successful. When you're minding other people's businesses,
yeah,
who's left to mind yours?
Right.
And so in this case,
and where's
scenario,
the return on that? You're not getting any return.
Exactly. You're just killing yourself.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, they should know. They should understand. No. They are working for you because you have a contract in play, and the contract says that you are going to pay them this amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't do a contract. Is there text messages or verbal
Yeah.
countership of you saying that you were going to pay XY whenever services are rendered? Well, yeah, but there's no paper. There's no signature. And I was like,
Yes, there is.
guess what, honey?
Yeah.
I'm not a legal
advisor.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Check with your attorney for anything I say.
This is just real life experience that has taught.
But then they get mad at me because I tell them that. I'm like, look, this is not an emotional attack.
Yeah.
I'm just simply telling you how to run a business, like, effectively.
Yeah.
You want people to come back to you
Yeah.
and artists to work with you with a smile on their face
Yes.
and say good things about you, pay them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pay them, make them happy. That's all they ask. Like, that's all they want.
Right.
Just get paid.
Yeah.
So those people don't like me. There's people in there that they think I'm snooty, and I'm just like, I just don't want drama. Like, I'm not snooty. I'm not going to deal with the bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I feel like that's fair too.
it's not constructive for the group.
Yeah.
It's not. And I boot people, and they're just like, how dare you? I'm an expert. I know blah, blah, blah. I have this many years. And I'm like, I'm sorry. The rules are displayed.
Mm-hmm.
You sign the rules when you join the group.
Yeah.
And even though I can boot you regardless,
Yeah.
I'm booting you out of
Yeah.
the
parameters.
what I put, the parameters.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
I know.
you're not going to have audacity here.
Yeah.
This is not the place.
Man, yeah, that is so true. But well, I appreciate you coming on. I really have enjoyed this, and I love that we are, we deal with the same stuff, and just hearing your story is just so. I feel like a lot of people can learn from it, and just to see where you're at, and just the journey to get there. It's definitely, and I think on a lot of our journeys, it's been refining, and every time we go through something, we just come out better.
Yes.
And having that outlook has just it's been refreshing just to know that there's more people that have that same outlook,
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you, and I hope you can come back sometime and we can talk more about all the things, and maybe specific things about the industry, or tips, or faces, or any guidance that you have for people who are wanting to maybe expand their knowledge base. I think it'll be really, really good. And you're definitely one person to link arms with in this area for sure. So
I try.
Yeah.
I might not be the best person all the time.
You're human. We're all human. That's
But I
okay.
promise you, if you're asking for advice, I'm probably posting it up in ChatGPT.
That's hilarious. We use our tools.
Yeah.
We have tools.
I'm very honest, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I said, and then I'll be like, I definitely asked ChatGPT for this. I just want you to know. It's like the new Google, like, when you ask people the question, like, did you Google that?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no. And so you then send the link of, like, let me Google that for you.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, hey, I just typed this into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says this.
Yep.
So
So that's what we're going to go with.
here's my take.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and we will see